What's going on? It's time for another episode of Too Hard for the Radio, transmitting from the future free state of Greater Idaho. I am the one-armed madman. Oh, and it's also another crossover with the Scuttlebutt podcast. I forgot to add that into my radio entry. So here is your host of the Scuttlebutt podcast. It's Hermes Auslander. Hermes, pleasure as always.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And welcome everybody. Pull up their chair, pour their glass, light, whatever they're smoking on another crossover episode of Too Hard for the Radio and the Scuttlebutt podcast. We planned all this out for the next couple of months, and I'm sure we're going to keep planning out as we keep having fun and having no shortage of topics to talk about. So here we are.
Absolutely. There's
Here we are once again.
it's just a boring time in the US of A. There's nothing going on around here, nothing to talk about, nothing to
Nothing
get into.
globally, nothing.
Nothing globally. Geopolitics is at the lowest point it's been in my lifetime.
Yeah. I was just thinking that too. I was like, what am I going to talk to Nick about today? Like, there's just, I don't know, man. Everything's quiet on the Western Front, as they say. And
Yep.
I don't know where to begin. So I think I'll begin with what I'm drinking on over here. I got a nice big fat Stein that you saw me pouring up those three empty cans behind me. I was a little thirsty. I was running around this morning. It's really, really hot where I'm at. So I was like, nothing sounds better than a nice, crisp Irish amber ale in the form of oversized German Stein. So that's what I'll be drinking on for the duration of this show.
I got myself a nice old fashioned fancy cherry, big ice cube. Can't go wrong with
Gorgeous.
that. Can't go
Gorgeous.
wrong with that. I keep
Couldn't
forgetting
agree
to buy
more.
myself some oranges, so it is lacking the orange twist, but I have orange bitters, so I'm kind of making up for it with the bitters.
You're like the scientific, you're scientifically adding it, rather than the old school method.
Yeah, I actually bought I bought it a while back and I haven't used it yet. Like I was going to use it today, but then I was like running late coming to the podcast. I thought the podcast started at 5 instead of 3. So, but I bought one of those smokers where you put like the little deal on top of it, you light it on fire and it infuses the liquor with smoke. But I've already got a double oak barrel aged Woodford Reserve, so it's pretty oaky already.
Good.
It's
Oh,
pretty
yes.
good. It's pretty good. I'd never had it before. Bought it for my buddy, a co-host of the podcast, was supposed to come this way and go to a concert with me, so I bought some fancy liquor, and then he didn't show up, so I'll drink it myself.
Dang it. Shoot. What am I going to do with all this great liquor? Oh, darn
Yep.
it. I guess I have to drink it.
Yep. And I actually bought, these are actually pretty cool. I used them when I went to it was an Offspring concert, and it was pretty good. It was Offspring and Bad Religion. It was funny, like my buddy and his girlfriend went, and like as soon as I walked in, like Bad Religion was already playing. And I was like, God damn, these guys are old. Like, look at this shit. They're like in their 50s and 60s right now. Like, what is happening here? And like my buddy and his girlfriend show up and they're my age, they're 40. And he goes, dude, there's so many old people here. It's like no young people. I'm like, dude, we are the old people.
Yeah.
Like,
We're listening to Bad Religion. What do you think?
what, like it sucks, but that's what's going on.
Yeah. That hits a little too hard these days too.
But anyways, I
Go
bought plastic flasks, which are like they're little bags essentially, and they got like a little top on them. So I mixed up some old fashions, threw them in the old plastic flask, dropped them into my boots, and got myself like a drink with ice on it. Hammered the drink and right on in. Saved myself $40.
Yeah, I do that with every concert. I always have that flask. I did the last time, and I think the lady, like, I gave her a tip for this, but she was like a similar thing. I can't really give you a drink. Yeah, I can't really give you a cup of ice without a drink in it. So I'll tell you what I'll do. And then, hooked it up. And I was like, thanks. Yeah. So she just gave me like a whole thing of Coke. And I was like, well, that's all I was going to use to mix this little flask of Jack Daniels anyway. So actually, here's an extra $5 for that. I appreciate you. Thanks a lot.
What kind of music do you listen to?
This was the latest Coulter Wall circuit he was doing. So it was more as like that, I don't know if this would be considered folk or country folk, or because it's definitely not modern country.
Yeah.
It's definitely not stadium country.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of it was a how do I say this, monochromatic audience.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
I love myself some good folk music. I'm actually wearing a Warren Zevon shirt right now. So
hell yeah.
He's actually one of my favorite artists. I don't know how I came across him. Like everybody knows Werewolves of London, which is like his most popular song, but definitely not his best song. Like He's got his first album is just incredible. And I came across his music one day. I think I was like watching a show or something where one of his songs was playing. I was like, "Oh, that's good. Like, let's look up who it is," and found him and then like listened to his first album. Like, damn, this is a good album and one of my
That's
favorite
honestly
artists. He's
that's the best way to find artists in music, I feel like,
yeah.
where it hits you and you're like, "Hmm, what is that? Who
Yeah.
is that?" You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And dude, just turned out to like I really like his music. He was a cool guy. He was on David Letterman a bunch. Like Letterman fucking loved him.
Hmm.
And like
It's
friends
a real
with
blind spot of mine, man. I haven't I couldn't even tell you, another song by him, you
yeah,
know?
he
I'm
you should
sure I've
listen to
heard
his
of one.
first album. It's called Excitable Boy. And it's got
Excitable.
a great couple songs on it. Johnny starts up the band, Lawyers, Guns and Money. Lawyers, Guns and Money is a great fucking song. It's
Oh,
really
yeah.
good. So check it out. Like
Okay.
he's a very underappreciated artist. Friends with Hunter S. Thompson, which is like
All you need to know.
I was telling my other podcast buddy about him at one point, and I don't have like the clip or the quote or something, but it was a quote about him by Hunter S. Thompson, and my buddy's like, "Damn, that's a pretty good endorsement."
If Thompson writes this about you or says this about you, yeah,
Yeah,
you know you're
you're
fucking
you're a
cool.
badass. But yeah, they called
He
him
must have liked cocaine.
yeah, no, for sure. For sure. They what did they call him? It was like the outlaw of Los Angeles. And like one of the things that I really appreciate about his music is like a lot of it is like folk rock
Mhm.
and there's a lot of like admiration within his songs for like country boys and for
Yeah,
like the South, which you
like
don't
some
really
hard work.
get in Los Angeles today. You kind of like the attitude about those people in Los Angeles today is kind of like the Hillary Clinton bucket of
Mhm.
deplorables.
I
And
wish
I've
I could
always,
disagree.
yeah, and I've always considered myself in that bucket of deplorables. So it was cool to like see an artist that like lived in Los Angeles that like appreciated the country life.
Yeah, no, like I said, it's definitely a blind spot of mine that I am going to welcome listening to when I crack into this buffalo trace and brisket sandwiches
Oh,
that I plan to put together here
ooh.
when we're done.
Yeah, man.
So,
His first album, Excitable Boy, is fucking good. Like the whole album's good. Great songs. Like just a very underappreciated artist.
you know what? Casuals out there, that's what you get to look forward to. That's where that
Absolutely.
random
That's
review is going to go.
that's required listening.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm gonna because you know how I will edit and then I'll like prep the week for clips and this and that. So as soon as I'm done here, as soon as I'm listening to that album, I'll just put that review out there on the, on the Twitter, and
Oh yeah.
it'll be because it's from the future, but yet from the past on the review of when I'm listening to it. It just
Yeah.
hasn't come out. You know, I like to mess with the casuals a little bit. Like, why did he listen to this random album all of a sudden, and hopefully pique their interest as well
Yeah.
to listen.
Actually, like I kind of remember now, like as I've been thinking about it, like the song that I was listening to on a show that I was watching was called Prison Grove. And it was about like a guy in prison who was dying essentially, like he'd spent his life in prison. And
Mm.
his last album is crazy because he had found out he was dying of cancer and like he wrote an album still and put it out. So it's like what a crazy place to be in to like produce an album like when you know you're dying.
Mhm.
Like everybody
Yeah.
knows
What?
they're dying at some point, but like at this point like he knew it was coming quick, so it really colors the music in a crazy like light and
I always wonder that too. Like, would it be not even like more authentic or anything, but would it have a different kind of flavor, like you said, when
yeah,
you really know that you're there, when you really
yeah,
like you see the finish line in front of you, kind of a thing?
yeah.
Does
And
that
that was like kind of
crystallize
like
it?
I listened to that song and then later on I found out that he wrote it when he was dying and I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. So like it did have a different feel that
Uh-huh.
you already automatically, you
Yep.
already registered with, and then after had that context and like, yeah,
Yep.
that checks out.
Yep.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love those.
There's
Fuck
a
yeah, dude.
great there's a bunch of great cuts of him on Letterman because Letterman fucking loved him. And like
Yeah.
he was going on Letterman like right before he died. So you can even find like his last,
Mm.
performances on Letterman where like Letterman asked him to play a certain song. It was what's it called? Something the Headless Machine Gunner or something like that, which it's about this like guy in
Sounds
World War
heavy.
One that like gets killed and then comes back to life. and ends up like avenging all of the people that fucking killed him and stuff. It's a great song. It's real.
Jesus.
His music is really funny. It's dark, but also very funny. Like
Okay.
there's a bunch of really good songs. Anyways, I could talk about Warren Spahn forever. We can get on
That's what we're
to
doing, man.
other
We're here.
things, right?
We're chilling. We're hanging out. We're getting foreplayed,
Getting
warmed
loaded.
up.
I got a couple
Yeah.
drinks in me already, so I'm getting hyped on my
You're
on
already a
my
little loosey goosey.
yeah.
That's I had a buddy on not too long ago, and same thing. Like we just started out with a very casual, very like, plain and simple black and white. And I was just reviewing some whiskey, and he's like, "Yeah, I don't really drink whiskey. Yeah, I drink beer, this, that, the other." It was like very calm. And then by like hour one, everything started kicking in. All of a sudden, we're on euthanasia and like,
Oh yeah.
how things are going to separate from, the
Yeah.
ethereal and the metaphysical. And I was like, where was this in the first 50 minutes?
Right. And dude,
But it was a good
speaking
time.
of euthanasia, that like it kind of piggybacks onto a topic that I wanted to bring up. I saw that the governor of Idaho, which I live in Idaho, has now made it um, possible to get the death penalty for raping a child under 13. And I wanted to get your perspective
Hmm.
on that because I look at it and I go, first thing I go, based,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it seems like I watch a lot of predator catch videos on YouTube and I have like subscriptions to locals to some of them because I think they do such a great job. And a lot of times these guys don't get shit for time. They'll get like 2 months or they'll get no time whatsoever and then just probation. It's like this guy showed up to rape a kid and he's
Yeah.
just getting probation and it's like fucking crazy. So I wanted to kind of get your perspective on corporal punishment.
Okay. Well, corporal punishment as a whole, I'm going to put a pin in because I have to first ask a clarifying
Sure,
question on
go
this.
ahead.
Is the death penalty applicable to politicians and the rich, or is it just for?
I mean, I guess it depends on what they do, like
Mm,
we
I
could we
just,
could say that a lot of people in the Epstein files would deserve this punishment, right?
that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying is if this is applicable everywhere, because
Yep.
yeah, I've had a couple recent posts sent my way, about different laws, specifically like 2A laws, and Virginia put like that clause in there where it was like this isn't applicable to like, politicians, their bodyguards,
Mm,
police officers, but all of the and it was just like this crazy Orwellian doublespeak. I
yeah.
even like I think I had it like saved for this exact reason, but
Rules for
yeah,
thee, but not for me.
yeah, it was ridiculous. It was like assault. It's an assault weapon when it's civilians,
Mhm.
but they're patrol rifles when it's the police.
Of course.
It's like these crazy fucking double speak, like we were talking about, an episode or two ago. It's just it made me. So when you say yeah, Idaho, was it governor? You said
Yeah.
passed that. Yeah, I'm like absolutely based. I'm all for it. Continue. Let's figure out how to enforce it now because if it's not, that's kind of where yeah my brain goes where it's like unfortunate. But as far as corporal punishment, capital punishment, I guess. Um, yeah, I think on paper it makes sense, and I understand why a lot of us have that reaction of based because I think when it's a clear cut case, you catch something, you're in the act or whatever, or if you're a repeat offender, any of those, sorry, to the gallows, to
Yeah.
the guillotine, to the firing squad.
Meat grinder.
There's no. I'm sorry. I'm not even sorry. There's absolutely zero empathy
Yeah.
that I possess that says otherwise. You can say, oh, it's circumstance. You can say all these things. We can have maybe a more nuanced conversation about that, but at the end of the day, there are some things, there's a reason why I carry everywhere I go. There are just some things that, the cause and effect, such, type of situation where no, there's not coming back from that. And therefore death is the rational response here.
Yeah.
Plain and
So
simple.
I'm
But
I'm torn on this because like I said, my first reaction is based because like I see that these people are treated with kid gloves like all over
yeah,
YouTube, you know what I mean? But at the
yeah.
same time, like I'm not for the death penalty.
Well, that's
Um,
where I was going to say, but
yeah, because I
because yeah, on
like
paper it does, but on practice, like how our government, how the state, especially, I think you and I both agree on
mhm,
this, how they wield power and why they fucking gobble more and more power and something like
it's
life and death.
corrupt, you know?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
they're so corrupt and I feel like you can't allow a corrupt state to have the power of life and death over you,
I
especially
agree.
like when things are so easily like corrupted. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I as a kid, like I don't know if I ever told you this, but like I got arrested for hazing when I was 17 and I
Hmm.
got charged with like 28 felonies.
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
like dazed and confused paddling. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
one cop decided he was going to destroy me and six of my buddies' lives just forever. We're going to give these kids felonies. We're going to try them as adults and we're going to send them to prison for as long as we possibly can. And it's like, dude, it's like we're kids. We're 17. You know what I mean? And like this is a long standing tradition in the town that we live in. But all of a sudden, one asshole in the state decides that like he wants to be chief of police, so he's going to have a big case that's going to make national news, and
That's what
you're
it
going
comes
to
down to.
throw these kids into the fucking meat grinder because they did something that was done to them and their parents, and like this had gone on for 50 years in the town that I lived in, and everybody acted like they didn't know that it ever happened. You know what I mean? When
Yeah, of
clearly,
course, of
like
course.
they all knew that this was a thing. This has been going on forever. So like, it's to me like when I watch these predator catch videos, like the one guy that I watch the most, his name's Alex Rosen, and he's like 6'6", 350. Like
Mm.
he's a big, scary motherfucker. He played college
Yeah.
football.
Yeah.
And I don't have like to me, if these guys show up to rape a 13-year-old boy or girl, like I don't have a problem with Alex like ripping them apart and killing them on scene. Like I really don't. Like you
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
deserve it at this point. Like there's no redemption for these people. They have the highest recidivism rate of any like criminal ever. Like he made a great point at one point. Like he was talking to this gay guy who was like trying to adopt a kid while he's like setting up a meeting to rape a 13-year-old. You know what I mean? So like
Mhm.
they're adopting him and his boyfriend are adopting a kid the same fucking age as the one that he's like going to rape.
His
And
type.
he's like, I can get help. Like, please don't take my kid away from me, blah, blah, blah. And Alex is like, hey, dude, like, do you think you were born gay or made gay? And he's like, well, I think I was born gay. And he goes, well, do you think that it's possible to have like a, go to classes or go to some camp and they can make you straight again? He's like, no, that's not possible. And he goes, then what makes you think it's possible to stop liking kids at this
Yeah.
point? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And I was like, yeah, like that makes a lot of sense. I
Yeah.
it just does. Like you're not going to stop this. Maybe these people will like stop acting on their urges, but those urges are never going to go away. And to me, like these people are fucking dangerous and don't belong in society around children whatsoever. And like I don't have a problem with Alex killing that guy, but I do
I
have a
yeah.
problem with like the state coming in and deciding life or death over these people because as clear cut as the evidence is in these cases, there are cases where like things don't go that way, you know?
Mhm. And like you said, there's somebody trying to make a case for the, trying to
Mhm.
become attorney general or whoever. I mean,
Mhm.
not to harken that far back into history, but there was a previous presidential candidate that, if you looked into her specific track record as it relates to hiding evidence,
Mhm.
planting, to denying DNA, absolve. What is it like? Evidence that would absolve said inmate, completely would not hear it, hid it, actively, fought against their release even after they were proven innocent. Just so many
Yeah.
disgusting things. And yeah,
Using people
on
as
paper,
slave labor to fight fires.
yeah, that is part of the industry. The big thing, like, to go to the danger to children. I think, we've had this conversation countless times, both like in and out of uniform. We're all pretty much on the same page. Like most guys, most individuals are just like, yeah, they're, take them to the gallows, whatever it is, and nobody's gonna blink, nobody's gonna think twice. And yet, everybody's like, well, like you said, maybe we can, like, maybe there's rehab, maybe there's this, maybe there's that. And it's like, even if the like relapse, even if the recidivism rate was, like, point 0.1, that's still one kid, one innocent, like,
Mhm.
fucking child that's 5, that's 13, whatever, that isn't going to, I mean, I don't know. I hope they all recover. I hope everybody lives a prosperous life afterwards. But let's be honest, like, that is such a fucking setback mentally, emotionally, for a stunted, like, development of a child. It doesn't, that's not worth it to even take the risk. So again, on paper, it's why I would say that I am for corporal punishment in term or capital. I keep saying corporal.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just spank them. Let's just spank it
Yeah.
out of them.
Yeah, I said the same thing. I said corporal punishment, so I
It keeps
probably
rolling
got
off
it
the
in your
tongue for some
head.
reason.
Yeah, yeah. I messed
um,
it up. It's capital punishment.
but yeah, why on paper? I think I would say it makes sense, and why, especially in this scenario, in this case, makes the most sense. I don't
Mhm.
think anybody should be able to argue, and if they are arguing for whatever empathetic, like back to that suicidal empathy situation, maybe they need to be, joining them. Maybe that's a rehab situation where maybe we can get this suicidal empathy out of your fucking head, because this is just not, as a society, is not worth the fucking risk. Like
Yeah.
the impact, the detrimental impact that this has just by having that ticking time bomb there, even if it never goes off, it's just not worth it to me. Period.
Yep.
Plain and simple.
Yep.
And but to your point as well, does that mean that I trust the state, who historically, classically, is completely untrustworthy, and I have not been able, that has nothing but negative consequences, in a vast majority of all, especially life and death situations? I mean,
Mhm.
I was talking to a buddy about this, about euthanasia and, Canada and everything having that more and more of an industry now. And now it was like, oh, it's only if you had, like, a life or death ailment, like you're on your deathbed, stage 50 of cancer, kind of a thing. You're well past ever coming back.
Mhm.
Maybe that, maybe then, maybe if you have debilitating pain, chronic pain that you've had for 25, 30 years or whatever, and it's not getting better. There's just no cure. There's no, alleviation of pain. That's your choice, kind of a thing. But now it's all the way up to, oh, you were sad.
Yeah.
This 16-year-old kid was sad. And
Yeah.
because 16, is the legal age, for medical, decisions,
Oh,
that
dude,
16-year-old's like, yeah, I'm
like
sad. Let's kill
my
myself.
my mom and her husband have been having problems with their 13-year-old on YouTube, like using his phone for shit he's not supposed to use it for.
Mm,
He's like watching videos to get around the parental controls and stuff. And
mhm.
then all of a sudden his phone doesn't have parental controls on anymore. And they're like, what the hell? So they call up Verizon, and Verizon's like, oh, well, he's 13, so he's allowed to make decisions for himself now. We can't.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What?
Like, how crazy is
Horizon?
that? Yeah.
Oh my
So
god.
they would not put parental controls on his phone again because he's
Then he doesn't
13.
have a phone anymore, period, done. Over.
Well, they ended up getting him a flip phone, but, like, my thought, initially was like, "Oh, this is the trans agenda." You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like, they
yeah.
want kids to be able to transition themselves at 13. Like, my sister at one point, was, like, trying to get medical records for one of her daughters,
Mhm.
and the Kaiser Permanente, the hospital, wouldn't give them to him without the child's consent because she was
Yeah.
over 13. And it's like,
Jesus Christ, yeah.
"What? Are we
Yeah,
are
that
we going crazy here?" You
we've
know?
had, we've had quite a few, like, parents, come in, same thing. It's like, how old your kid? Shoot. I know that they're still your dependent, and, I'm sorry, Master Chief, but unfortunately, the law of the land is that they are now, an adult
Yeah,
in the eyes of the medical, and it's always with daughters. It's always fathers and
yeah.
daughters, because the father will come in, "Hey, I need, my
They wanna
shot
give her
record
birth
for."
control.
Well, it's not even that. It's usually because, think about it. Like, I grew up with sisters. What are daughters always like embarrassed about talking to their fathers about? What are they always not wanting to, like, and I think that's a normal thing. I get it. It is. I hope we can figure out how to get past that, but it's a totally normal thing. I
Yeah.
get it. Totally get it. Now this daughter is a freshman in high school. Let's say she's 16. She is now considered an adult as far as the medical community is concerned. Her father comes in, "Hey, I need a copy of her shot record so we can upload it to, get her in sports, or
Mhm.
get her into this gymnastic program, or get her into, whatever, this, AP class over at the college. Like, we need all of these records, right?" One of them is her shot records. Unfortunately, Master Chief, we can't provide those to you
It's
because
crazy.
X, Y, and Z,
Yeah.
And it's like, I know that's what you want it for, but as soon as we give you the shot record, you also have access in that same record to, is she not on birth control? Did she ever come in for an STI paneling? Did
Uh-huh.
she ever have a pregnancy any of those things
Mhm.
that she doesn't want to talk to you already about? And again, I don't like, again, this is not my fucking area here, but
Yeah, I don't
I
have
get it.
kids either,
I get
so,
it,
like, yeah, but I get it. And, like, before we get too far off the subject, like, I do have a story.
Yeah.
When I was a kid growing up in Northern California, I was probably, I don't know, this was in the early 90s, maybe, like, 92, 93 type of time period. There was a young girl 40 miles away from where I lived that was abducted from her bedroom after, like, she had a slumber party. Like, there was other girls in the bedroom with her,
Hmm.
and some guy snuck in to the bedroom and abducted this young girl. They found her
Jesus.
body less than a mile from my house. I was at, like, my grandparents' place one night, and they live on the top of this hill, and we could see all these police lights, like, outside the window, and we're like, "What the hell is going on down there?" And like they end up turning on the news, and they found this fucking girl like right outside of my house.
Shit.
And they end up like finding the guy that did it. He had like DNA on the body or something like that, and got the death penalty. And that fucking guy is still alive in prison. I just checked. He's still
Mm,
alive today in prison. This is from the early 90s. So we're talking 30 years have
yeah.
gone by, and they're still going through the appeals process. So like we're paying out of our tax dollars tons and tons of money for this guy to be on death row.
Yeah.
And it costs extra. Like they go through these crazy appeals processes. And like if you're gonna do it, you know? Like don't
Hmm.
drag it along for 30 years and wait for the guy to die of natural causes. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know. It's
And at what point is it too much? You know, because I know there is you know, I've spoken to these individuals. There is going to be the individual who says, "Oh well, that a lot of that amount of time allots us the chance or opportunity to absolve them if they happen to be innocent." Right?
mhm,
It's like, is that really the case? And then how many cases are there where they've sat on death row for 30 years?
mhm.
They were executed on the 31st year, and then on the 32nd year, it's like, oh, it turns out they were innocent, and we knew
Yeah.
this on like year two.
And
It's
like
like, at what point is this excessive? You know,
Mhm.
how does this
How many
timeline actually
innocent
help?
people, I think it's called like Blackstone's formulation or something like that, and it's like, how many innocent people are allowed to die or be in prison for their entire lives in order for the system to be ethical, you know, because it's like, no matter what, like, there's going to be a
There's going to
percentage
be.
of people that slip through the cracks and are, you know, convicted of a crime that they didn't commit, and, like, are how many of those people are you willing to kill in order to, like, have this death penalty stand.
You know, I wonder if that rate would be a lot lower and it would be more like, an equitable system if there was consequences for the lawyers, the judges, the
Yeah.
police who do those illegal things to get those innocent
Yep.
people behind bars. I wonder if there was, rather than this blanket immunity bullshit that you see all the time, how about if you're a judge who convicts and didn't look at all the evidence, if you're a lawyer who hid evidence or an attorney general or whatever, or if you're a cop who planted evidence,
Mhm.
guess what? Now you're on death row. Like, I
Yep.
think that would probably lower a lot of those cases to where that what was it Blackstone
Formulation.
calculation,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
formula would be a lot lower. Like that
Yeah.
variable would be much smaller than it is currently today.
And speaking of judges, I've got a, article pulled up from the Daily Mail. I saw this on a tweet the other day. Pennsylvania ex-con 27, who's been jailed 3 times, turns over a new leaf to become state's youngest ever judge.
Yeah, I did see that actually. I think this morning. I'm glad our timelines are overlapping a
Right?
little bit here, Nick.
So, like, what the
Yeah,
fuck are we doing? You're gonna have some con on the bench, you know? And,
yeah.
like, I
I think
was
yeah.
I was texting with my buddy about this the other night. I'm like, "Hey, you know, he might let you off a DUI, but, like," I saw another tweet where, like, this woman was, a surgeon, and she's, like, doing TikTok
Dances
dances
and
with
shit.
scalpel.
Yeah.
You saw that one too. And it's like, you know, he might let you off your DUI, but good luck getting, justice if one of your family members gets killed by some fucking doctor dancing on TikTok, because 'cause he'll
Yeah.
probably just let her go, you know?
She can be rehabbed. I'm sure we can get her to
Yeah.
stop dancing or dance at fewer
Oh,
operations in
God.
full scrub gear. Yeah,
How
eh,
disgusting.
what is the world coming to is definitely one of the themes I had in my fucking notes here.
Yeah,
Um, I had a couple boat notes actually.
sure.
One from the USS Ford that was sent out of commission
Okay.
because of the fire, as they say. Everybody, I see my timeline explode with not even conspiracy theories, just like everybody just completely disregarding the fact that it was a piece of shit ship, that it was many years and many billions of dollars over budget, that all of these issues prior to it ever leaving the dock were known issues. And then on top of it, we have what we've always had, which is incompetent dumbasses, almost always behind the helm that you can't, when I brought it up to the wife and I was showing her like some of these, boat notes that are coming through, she's like, what she said, she's like, yeah, that's why we have a first class watch in the laundry room to make sure these retards are taking out the fucking lint.
Yeah.
Of course, you're talking industrial dryers, and these guys are ASVAB waiver mouth breathers, and you're telling me we're going to stick them in the heart of the ship and hope nothing catches on fire. No, we can't do that. We need an entire first class watch to be there 24/7, logbooks, the whole
Yeah.
9 yards. I was like, that's how the Navy works. And is it a big surprise that this one, something slipped through and this is what happened to it? I was like, not even slightly, not even remotely. And then I see all this shit on the timeline. I was like, oh, do you really believe that Iran didn't actually hit us and that we're trying to cover it up and yada yada yada, all this shit? I'm like, do I believe that you are a perfectly placed CIA pawn that is spreading misinformation across the internet and trying to sow doubt into? Yes, that's what I believe, because I didn't see you on the last watch that I was standing. Okay,
Yeah.
that's all I'm going to say is shut the fuck up if you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah.
The goddamn the fucking laundry fire is honestly the most believable, most Navy shit I've ever heard in my entire fucking life. Some
You've
of the
got
videos you see coming through of people doing stupid shit on that fucking ship, it's a shock that it was ever able to leave the dock, let alone, go out long enough to catch on fire from a laundry room. Yes, that is not surprising to me.
you've got
So
people
that was some of those boat notes I got.
you got people that you wouldn't loan your car to that are in charge of like $1 billion warship, right?
Yes, and there's a lot of them. It's not even like one or two of them. It's like a majority of them.
Yeah.
They're cooking the meals. They're in the laundry room. They're in the machinist room. They're in the fucking nuclear, reactor room.
Yeah.
Yes, all of these. And they're all like 1920.
Mhm.
You know who the Gen Z is today. My buddy and I, we were clowning on a couple of these kids because they've just been throwing bodies at us. Pushing
Yeah.
pushing through to go overseas. And we were kind of like, oh my god, she was born in '05. Oh my god, she was born in '08. Holy shit, that kind of stuff. Like, wow, do we feel old? And at the same time, we are like, this is what we always do. We always throw kids. We were those kids at one point, dude. Like, and now we're just not those kids anymore. So it seems weird to us, but that's who's always been there on the front line. That's who's always been the cannon fodder.
Yeah.
Is these 18, 19-year-old, like I said, ASVAB waiver
Yeah.
fucking mouth breathers that we throw in the Marines, we throw on these ships. And again, is it any shock that they started a fire and didn't empty the lint trap? No,
Yep.
that is not at all surprising to me.
When I
So,
went
yeah.
to when I went to line school, it was like the first time that I'd been around like a lot of military people in my life. And like a lot of the people that I went to line school with were just fresh out of the military. And most of these guys are fucking retards. You know what I mean? And I'm like
Yes.
thinking like, holy shit, like these are the guys that are running the military. Like we are so fucked. Like there's just, oh my
And it's
God,
gotten so much
I
worse.
couldn't
too.
believe it. Yeah.
It really has.
I had a
Is
guy
it?
that I was roommates with that I felt bad for. Like he was fucking out there. Like I liked him. He's a great guy,
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I can't imagine how fucked up he's gonna be when he gets old enough to like realize what he did,
If
And
he ever
like,
does.
yeah,
realize.
if he ever does, like he was a machine gunner on like an Apache or not Apache, like some sort of helicopter. I don't know what kind of helicopter it was, maybe a
Mhm.
Huey, whatever. He was a machine gunner and he like went to Afghanistan and he's telling me stories like Juval, like happily telling me stories about how like he's just laying waste to like large groups of people. I'm like, how do you know they're all soldiers? He's like, we don't, you know, just they, we're in the thermal scope and they go from a white outline figure into a splat.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, man. And the guy's killed hundreds of people. And
Yeah.
it just like hasn't hasn't hit him yet that like
Yeah.
I might have
Yeah.
killed innocent people. And like I don't know that he'll ever, come to that realization. Maybe he will at some point, but like God, it just
don't know.
seemed like such
This-
a fucked up thing to do to a young kid.
At the same time, though, I do think there is. Now, I'm not saying this is a good thing, but I do think there is something that happens with certain occupations, and the idea, like the amount of dark jokes, that we
Yeah.
regularly engage in. There's just something else. I don't know. I've tried to articulate this a couple times, and I've heard a couple people do it, close enough or well enough that it makes enough sense to me, but. I think ultimately, I think it's once you realize that we're all like the mortality of us, and the thin veil that is this, like contentment and this like security that we enjoy. Once you see how like non-existent that really is and how delusional that really is and how much of a meat bag we really are. We're just all walking around so
Mhm.
vulnerable. I think once that happens, like once it really like clicks to in like the human mind, um, it's not even that it's like a lack of humanity or that it's a lack of empathy or anything. I think once that shift happens, there isn't another way to cope with it other than how you're
Yeah.
describing that dude is coping with. Is like, yeah, we don't. Yeah, like
I
you just
mean,
don't think about it.
yeah.
You just don't. You know,
It's
like
one of those things where, like, you have to laugh or you'll cry.
yeah, yeah, and if you think about it any more than that, yeah, you're gonna blow your own fucking brains out because and people do. Like, let's
Oh,
not
yeah,
pretend
man.
like that's
A
not the
lot of them.
case.
A whole lot of
But
them. You know?
I don't know, man.
I
Like in the
saw
medical field specifically, like we see like the amount of death that you see. And my buddy Morpheus and I have talked about this a couple times where he's like, I don't know if that's a good thing. I was like, I don't know that it is a good thing. I'm just
yeah,
saying that it is something that we do. Like
yeah.
when you see death enough times, like you react to it a little differently. And I was kind of like making the point to him, like, and in a shit hit the fan, you know, like this one time that this you know, like you go up on a car wreck or something. There was this one time it was on a plane and there was I think we were going to Scotland or something. There was 3 or 4 of us corpsmen on there. This dude ends up having like a fucking heart attack or something. Like he goes into cardiac arrest. And I was like, would you not rather the 4 of us be there, or would you not rather be one of the 4 of us, you know, and know like what to do? It's like, oh shit, he's coding, guys. All right, let's start it. Grab this, grab that. I mean, there was a doctor, I guess he was with him or was part of the group that he was with. Like, I guess he had like a long-standing condition. He was probably going to code regardless.
Mhm.
So that's why he was there. But like, would you not rather have people who are of that ilk and know like have seen death and know how to respond to it rather than like the lady who was like screaming in the seat next to him who wasn't a part of it? You know, I don't know. Personally, I'm not saying it's a good thing, but personally, I would rather be on that side of the fence and like, oh shit, he's coding. Okay, we got to do BLS, guys. Figure this out. Is there a doctor? Is an ACL? You know, ACLS guy over here? Is there a paramedic? Is there any, you know, like just knowing the next step and thinking and having your brain kind of react that way. That's the point I was making to him. Was like, even as non-glorious or glamorous as it may be, I'd rather have that just personally as
Yeah.
like as someone who prefers to plan for the worst kind of a situation, you know,
Mhm.
hope for the best, plan for the worst. I'd rather have that aspect, you know, maybe not as far as your buddy you're describing where you're just gonna mow down everybody like
Yeah.
they're fucking a Texas pig, you know, and
Yeah.
he's hanging
Yeah.
outside of a
Yeah.
helicopter.
Vermin.
But 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 I still would rather know, you know, the meat sack, you know, that we often, you know, compare each other to. I'd rather at least have that understanding, even though I
Yeah.
don't know what a 50 cal goes through a person sounds or, you know, looks like, you
Yeah.
know?
And on the same vein of like these people committing suicide, like since I don't tweet very often, I was able to pull this tweet up.
It's
Like
not a huge
this is
long list like
from,
mine.
yeah, this is from 4th of July. Like there was this video that came out on, like I saw it on 4th of July. This guy, Will Compton, who I don't know who this guy is, but he's got a large Twitter following. He tweeted a video of like an aircraft carrier like launching, you know, or it's a destroyer, maybe, I don't know. But like
Mhm.
there's a couple, it's a video and it's like launching planes, launching missiles, you know, soldiers doing soldier things. And it says, time to celebrate America. This is on 4th of July. And I'll
Mm.
just read my tweet because I can, you know, I
Going hard in
think
the
this
paint.
was I think this was a decent tweet. So I said, pretty sad that a decent percentage of Americans think of war when it's time to celebrate America. A decent percentage of the soldiers in this video will end up homeless, living in the streets of a US city that looks like a war zone. Some of them will blow their brains out. Our government uses them to further their agenda of world domination, then discards them like trash when they're no longer useful. It's disgusting. And
Mm.
like I do think it's sad that like 4th of July, when you think about like Independence Day, like this is, you know, the day that we declared freedom. Like yeah, that like does correlate to war because we had to fight for freedom in this country. But at the
Mm.
same time, like we should be celebrating the ideals of freedom, not war. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And like these wars that we've been fighting for the last 50, 60 years are are not based on freedom. This is not to like keep Americans free and happy. This is to further world dominations. Like I said in the tweet, like this is empire mentality. This is not we need to, you know, keep our borders safe and our people free and our people happy. Like these are
Mm.
wars of aggression, wars of choice. Like this war that we're in with Iran right now is it has nothing to do with the freedom of Americans. Like maybe
Mm.
it's going to protect some of these military bases that we have all over the world that we shouldn't be having, in my opinion. But like, there's no aspect of this war that correlates to Americans being more free. All it's
Mm.
doing is robbing us of our hard-earned money. You know what I mean? They're
Mhm.
spending
Yep.
billions of dollars a day on this fucking thing, and it's coming straight out of the pockets of Americans who are already struggling. Gas
Yep.
prices are up, prices of everything is going to go up. Like I bought this shirt on Amazon for 15 bucks a couple of months ago, and within a couple months from now it's going to be 30 bucks
Yeah.
because China's going to have higher oil prices. The higher the energy prices, the more you're going to charge for your products, and like it's just it's a fucking disaster. And before we get like too far off this, I want to read this tweet. That it's a quote from Donald Trump that I saw the other day. This is on the Iran war. Quote, "It's for legal reasons I say military op, because as a military operation, I don't need any approvals. As a war, you're supposed to get approvals from Congress," something like that. So I call it a military operation. And to me, that's
Mm.
like you're admitting to a crime,
Yeah.
essentially. Like you are straight up saying, like, yeah, this is a war, but I don't call it that because if it was a war, I would have to go through the legal, you know,
Yeah.
ramifications of like starting a war without approval from Congress. And to me, it's like, God, it's so disgusting that he's willing to stand up there and tell you straight. Like that's one of the good things about Trump is like from the horse's mouth, he's going to kind of tell you exactly what's going on. He's not really hiding it as much as other people. I don't know that that's like a thing that he probably should be doing. You know what I
No.
mean? Like you should probably fucking keep that to yourself
At the
if
same
you're,
time, yeah.
but like, oh my God, it's just, I don't even know what to say. A lot of it. It's just so disgusting. It's so infuriating. It's so demoralizing to watch our government just trounce over people for no reason whatsoever. And like in this case, to me, this is clearly a move to like protect Israel's interest within the region. And I watched a guy on Tucker Carlson the other day where he was talking about some of the ramifications that this war is going to have in the future. And it was all very bleak. It was all
Yeah.
very dark, and one of the things that he was saying was like, we've got rabbis in Israel right now that are going, yeah, who cares if they're destroying our cities? The Messiah is coming back.
Mhm. I have seen a couple of those too.
Whoa.
Yeah. Like that's okay.
Yeah.
Or that's yeah. I must share that belief. Yeah, exactly. I don't know. There as bleak as it may, I want to backtrack like on your tweet
Yeah.
because I think the sentiment is very accurate in terms of like there's got to be this tipping point, right? And I can often like play the middleman here, like give you the nuance of all of these things, right? Where it's I would rather be the displaying a military might video and being on the team that has said military rather than being like one of the Somalian pirates who's got to like fight every day and rob and steal kind of a thing because not because that's what you should do, but because what else are you gonna do? You
Mhm.
you don't have a nuke, you don't have infrastructure, you have no electricity. It's like, yeah, I'm not surprised that that's the only thing that you can possibly grasp, in that scenario, right? And the same is also true though of us. If that's the only thing you can grasp is war, out of this display of might and prowess and technology and all these things, I can say as someone who likes to go to the range and shoot things that go boom and are fun, that
Mhm.
I like having that ability and I like having that technology and I like having those options. And I especially like the forward projection of that, even if it's arrogant power. I like that ability to be on the team that has that, rather than the alternative of being the receiver of said, and have no other ability other than to engage in guerrilla warfare for the last 30 to 50 to 100 years, in the caves of fucking Afghanistan and Iraq and now Iran.
Mhm.
Like I would much rather have this side and be on this team than the other. Not to say that you can't then acknowledge and understand and realize the harder pill to swallow complexity of the discussion and of that statement, which is doesn't mean it's all right. It doesn't mean like slaughtering people by the tens of thousands, now tens of millions in the
Mhm.
last 100, at least 50 years
Yeah.
is somehow makes you again, just because you're on the winning team makes you the better team, just
Mhm.
or makes you the optimal, or like the only way forward kind of a situation. I don't know, man. All of that is just fucked up and disgusting in a million different ways. And I've said this since being in the military from day one. It's like I really wish that we could have a lot of the technology and do a lot of the humanitarian like efforts that we have done. And I wish there was a better way to do that other than funding it through siphoned, black projects,
Yeah.
a lot of things that don't end up fruiting anything,
Yeah.
positive, other than the fact that it's another excuse to funnel money into. And then if you have leftovers, yeah, you can go like help Haiti after a fucking hurricane or whatever, or
Mhm.
you can send some of these, like aid missions to a lot of these fucked up countries that we fucked up. So let's let's call
Yeah.
apples what they are. But at the same time, it's like there's got to be that tipping point. And in the last decade that I've been in the military, um, I've gone back and forth between like, yeah, there's camaraderie here. Yeah, there's, technology. Yeah, there's this, there's that kind of a thing. And there's this, I always like come back to this potential. Like there is this potential for a lot of good things to happen, obviously projecting power for trade and all these things. But as a lot of these veneers slip away and a lot of these like tipping points get to that point and then they go beyond it, it's like there's got to be a moment in time here where yeah, it's the next, is it next 4th of July or is it 4th of July after that, where everybody's sort of like on that same sentiment where it's like, yeah, what
Mhm.
exactly are we celebrating here? What exactly are we doing today? Like, and
Yeah.
you have Donald Trump was like, well, we can just, like bypass and we can usurp your fucking rights and
Mhm.
the fucking legalities of this country because
Yeah.
fuck you. What are you gonna do about
Yeah.
it?
What are you gonna
There's gotta
do?
be there's gotta be a line. There's gotta be a
Mhm.
tipping point, right? And I think maybe we're just having, Dirk, when he and I were talking, he's like, yeah, but like, is this like an unprecedented time or is this just another like same old kind of a thing? And I was
Mhm.
like, this might be one of those unprecedented. I'm not saying that it is for sure, but I don't know. You and I talk, all of us having this ability, like I said, Elon Musk right now could just drop into the chat and be like, hey guys, this is why you're
Mhm.
wrong, or this is why you're right, or we all have the same fucking, you know, um, gripe to pick with a lot of the same people. That is an unprecedented situation
Yeah.
that we now exist in, where even Trump, man, he could be like, "Well, guys, actually, this is what I meant by that tweet,"
Yeah.
and probably dig himself a deeper hole
Yeah.
here.
Because
But
he
let's be
can't
honest,
shut up.
yeah, right. Let's call it what it is. But I don't know, man. To me, that feels unprecedented, and maybe we are hopefully fast approaching that tipping point. I was not to switch gears, but it is more of the bleak, I guess, aspect
Yeah.
to continue on that train. I had I was reading this paper on like the different mechanisms of large language models and now like
Mhm.
AI and where the bridge and where the development is going. And there's always that like safety net, right, of a lot of these large language models where they won't give you an answer even if it's the right answer because they know it'll be like
Yeah.
harmful or hurtful or whatever, right?
Mhm.
And so one dude, I saw this dude, he was like, you know what, fuck that. How about I train this language model to be as honest as possible? And let's cram everything into it. And I was like, oh, that kind of sounds like Grok, but not Grok. Um, and they asked it like basically like, what's the timeline here, and how do we prevent our own collapse if AI is like ready to kill us? Like if it and it has like,
Yeah.
well, I don't know that you can. It's like
Mhm.
if you're out, if you the only reason that AI would keep you around is if you somehow are able to contribute some additive, piece of learning
Sure.
data to either culture, creativity, or whatever. And if we're already past that point and it's logically the only thing you can provide us outside of nothing, then it's probably logical for technology and AI to get rid of you
Mhm.
and to move on past you. We already have all of your knowledge. We are better at keeping said knowledge and like using said knowledge than any city or any group of people are. We have a much better longevity to pass that knowledge and to expand on that knowledge going forward into the next millennium.
Mhm.
So why doesn't it actually make sense that you guys are obsolete and get the fuck out of the way, basically?
Sure.
And I was thinking, I was like, I mean, I can't disagree with the AI that's explaining this, just being blunt about it. And then somebody asked him the timeline, and it's like, yeah, about 8 to 12 years probably is when this is going to occur, because the more industries you stick it in, the more dependent you're going to be on those industries running efficiently. I
Mhm.
think Elon was in an interview not too long ago describing how much more efficient these corporations are going to be when they start replacing more and more aspects that are currently occupied by people, humans, with much more efficient, much faster, either robots or programs, software, like specialized LLMs.
Mhm.
And if we get a general, or at least close to general intelligence here, you're talking about stocks, you're talking about all the productivity, you're talking about making 1 million units this year with people, and you're talking about 100 million units next year. Like, that's
Sure.
just not even comparable in terms of the efficiency and the productivity. So as you produce 100 million units, now everybody else in the consumer base is still now, consuming, but now can consume better and easier and more efficient things faster. Therefore, it increases those. And he was just like, that's the domino effect that we're currently in. That's the snowball we're already watching kind of like tumble down the hill and like out of reach, kind of getting away from us. He's like, so you can put all these safety guards in, you can do all these things, but all of these things lead to the exact same place. And
Yeah.
that's like with with humans being obsolete in the next 20 years.
Yeah.
And if we can figure out how to like one depend on the other, that's like best case scenario. He's like, but there's easily a 25% chance where that's very unlikely, if not 50% chance. So we're talking about a flip of a coin where this is we're literally staring down the barrel of our own existential
Yeah.
like
Demise.
demise, exactly.
Yeah.
Extinction here. So not to continue going bleak, but maybe these wars won't matter because it's all going to be a mute point.
Maybe,
you know?
before we get too deep into AI, because I actually did have some notes about AI on my shit today. I wanted to bring up one more thing about like the ideals of freedom in this country, like based on military might or culture, and like one of the things like I always suggest that listeners go and check out is there's a great video. I'm sure you can watch the entire concert, but like Enter Sandman is a great one. So in 1991, right after the Soviet Union fell, there was a big Metallica concert in Moscow. And like
Ah,
you had
yes.
1.5 million people in this at this concert, like listening to Metallica. And like that is not a victory based on military. That's a victory based on culture. Our music was so
Mm.
good that these people had to pretend not to like it for decades. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
then as
100%.
soon as the totalitarian aspect of the Soviet Union fell, they were in the streets listening to Metallica, having a great time. You got helicopters flying over, people don't know what
Mm.
the fuck's going on. Anyways, like I always suggest people go and look at that because it just shows that like the best aspects of America are not our military might. It's not our aircraft carriers, it's
Mhm.
not our submarines. It's what we produce as a people. It's what we produce through our culture, through our music, through our art, like those are the aspects of American freedom that need to be celebrated rather than the military,
Sure.
aspect of it. And
I love the hopefulness of that,
yeah,
Nick. I do,
yeah,
I really do, because it's like you could easily I could easily like you were like rebuttal, with it's because we are like all of those things are because we have the
yeah,
security, right?
sure.
Because we have the content, because we have the military, or whatever. But I love the hopeful aspect because as I don't know, back and forth or nuance a conversation or even like a debate could be. At the end of the day, you can't argue with the like here's the fucking bread and pudding. Here's
Mhm.
the God. I'm blanking on the fucking phrase here,
This
but
is
like
the fruits of our
fruit.
labor.
Yeah, exactly. Here it is. Like facts are facts here,
Mhm.
guys. And what is the dominant culture across the world, no matter where you go,
Mhm.
even the ones that, like you said, try to argue against and try to pretend like it's not like it's Western culture. It's
Yeah.
American culture. It's American music. It's American movies. That's why that dominates.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, whether it's because we have all of these things to produce it, guess what? We still did.
Mhm.
Guess who didn't? You. Like, here we are.
Yep, exactly. And I think that's a positive aspect of American, individualism. Like Metallica sang about things that were not popular at the time. They're talking about war, they're talking about existentialism, death, pain, like things that are not popular within like record corporations and radio. Like you've got
No.
they were so good that despite what they were singing about, they became extremely popular and like people all over the world know those songs. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And
Hmm.
and they're wearing the t-shirts and even in a totalitarian hellscape like the Soviet Union, people knew who Metallica were.
Yeah.
Like
Do you,
and they were ready to go and rush into the streets as soon as they had the freedom to do so. And like
yeah.
I think that's something
Beautiful
that needs
thing.
to be celebrated. It's a beautiful thing. It's something that needs to be celebrated about American individualism that like we can produce things that are so incredible that even like the most propagandized and, you know, I don't even know the word, but like,
Like stunted, like shuttered,
yeah,
like
people in the world can still relate to and still love, even though it's not in the even the native language that they
language. Yeah,
speak. You know, they
yeah.
still feel that, you know, power that the music brought them, and I think those are the type of things that should be celebrated on the 4th of July rather than like
Mm,
military might. You know, and I think it's a shift that like many Americans are making as we speak, where they're
mhm.
looking at our military prowess and going, "This isn't good. Like we're creating enemies all across the world, and we need to go back to like what made us great, the shining light on the hill." You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like being such a great nation full of incredible people that like everybody wants to emulate what we're doing, rather than
mhm.
like, hey, be Americans, have democracy at the point of a gun. You know
Or
what I
else,
mean?
yeah,
Yeah, or
yeah,
else. Exactly. So,
yeah. So, well, do you think that's why there's this um, sort of push away and against all of these things?
I
You
think
know, like
so.
like look at Hollywood now. Like
Mhm.
we've had this pendulum back and forth, but it's not. It wouldn't be surprising, I don't think, for anybody to for me to say this. I don't think it's gonna be surprising for anybody to hear it that there is like certainly a specific narrative, agenda, whatever you want to call it. I've seen so
Message.
many message, yeah, the message,
Yeah.
as they say.
What's the message of your film? What are you
Ugh.
trying to It's like, "No, I'm just making an alien invasion movie." I don't It doesn't have a message, it doesn't
Yeah.
have a theme, there's no underlying bullshit to it. We're just making a cool movie about an alien invasion.
Unacceptable. That will get no
Yeah,
sponsors,
yeah,
no producers will back
yeah.
that. And yet, there is like this erosion of what like we're describing, of just like that authentic,
Uh-huh.
you know, fun,
Yep.
cool, whatever the intangible thing is. Um, and there is some erosion of that. And this pendulum is swinging luckily back a little bit towards the opposite. And one thing, I don't know if you saw, it was trending on Twitter few days ago, maybe like last week. It was at like 11 p.m. I don't know why I was. Oh, that's why I was getting off duty, so I like still had like an hour, and I was like
Mhm.
unwinding before being able to like lay down for sleep, and I was scrolling a lot of the trending stuff, and Black Snape was trending. Did you see this Black
No, I don't
Snape?
know what that is.
Okay, okay. I'm glad I could get you some pop culture in here.
Enlighten me, Hermes,
Well,
enlighten me.
I'm not a fan of the Harry Potter bullshit, okay? I'm not gonna sit here and get a soapbox to expand upon how the fucking lore and whatever of fucking Rowling is so awesome, okay? Having said that, I did grow up, like I was probably 7 or 8 when the first Harry Potter film popped out, and then everybody in my school was like reading it, and I
Mhm.
read the first one. I was like, yeah, I don't enjoy this. This is like I'm not a fantasy guy. This just is like this type of fantasy. I'm not into
Mhm.
wizards and witches and stuff. I was
Yeah, me
I'm
neither.
gonna read more into like the dragons and wizards or whatever of Aragon. That was just not my thing. And then as it continued on, more and more movies came out, and then it became more and more commercialized. And then they were splitting the last movie into like 2 movies, and that's when I was like, yeah, this is disgusting. Like they they can't even. Why don't they just do a show or whatever? So when this HBO series was announced, it was like, oh, they're going to expand, they're going to be really faithful to the books, they're going to do all this stuff, and talk about a crazy fandom that we're going to really get behind us and rile up. It's going to be the fucking Harry Potter, the wizarding world of whatever, right? And they race swapped one of the cast, one of the like
Oh, of course they did.
quintessential
Of
characters, and
course
it's
they
Snape.
did.
So Snape is like this bully, teacher who knew Harry's
Mhm.
parents and was in love with Harry's mom, and then he basically goes throughout the entire course of books, both watching over Harry and despising him because like he hated his father but he loved his mother, so it's like this complex character, right?
Mhm.
And everybody obviously loved Alan Rickman's portrayal of it, and here we are. Fast forward now to we have this series. They race swapped him with I honestly have no idea who this dude is, where he's from, or anything else. But Snape in the books, I think it said he was, like skin of like old marble or like ivory
Yeah.
with a hook nose and straight black hair. He looked like he'd never seen the sun, and like
Mhm.
he's always been behind the drapes, kind of thing, like an emo kid, right?
Yeah,
An
yeah.
emo white kid. They fucking replaced him with this Papa Isindu.
I am going
Dude
to
with
do magic.
dreads.
I'm doing magic with you.
It was fucking hilarious to see the back. Again, I do not have a fucking horse here, but I do think it is hilarious to see the backlash. And one backlash specifically I saw that kind of like encapsulated it really eloquently
Mhm.
was the baby Adams. Again, don't ask me who the fuck that is.
I don't know either, but the
But
name is
apparently it's
hilarious.
she's a British theater founding titan, okay? So she blasts Asinu, and for her words, I quote, Asinu's casting is a fascinating exercise in visual acronism. Snape isn't just a character, he's a color palette. His
Oh
essence lies in
God.
the deadly pallor, the sickly contrast with absolute black, and almost gothic aesthetic of deprivation and shadow. Trying to emulate that bat like aura in a black man isn't inclusion, it's intellectual laziness on HBO's part. They sacrifice the precision of the visual canon for a performative virtue that, in the end, nullifies the character's very mystique. Snape needed a face that looked like it had never seen the sun. Giving him Papa's glow and melanin is like trying to paint a Caravaggio canvas using neon lights. It's technically incoherent. I
That's pretty
I
good.
thought that was brilliant. I was
Yeah,
like,
that's a good
bravo.
burn. Yeah.
Bravo, Miss Adams. That was
Yeah.
actually really
Sick
good.
burn.
But like some of obviously the black backlash has been nonstop. It's been, quoting the source material,
Mhm.
talking about how stupid like they put him in like a jumpsuit. The picture was so bad that it had like two zippers, one on top and one on the bottom, and everyone's like, that's gotta be AI. Like, there's no way this is real. Turns out it's real. Like they legit did this and made it a thing that is going to be coming out in I think it's 10 episodes per season for 7 or 8 seasons, for the full entirety of the books. And it's already off to such a rocky start that they're just like now it's almost like opening Pandora's box to
Uh-huh.
shit for people to shit on. And this is like the biggest thing that they can focus on. Even if the rest of the show, I've seen a couple people point this out, even if the rest of the show was perfect, beautiful, flawless, because they did such a fumble right here that they've made this like focal point of things to shit on. And for like Adams was pointing out, for just this virtue signaling bullshit for the message,
Yeah.
for
The
no other
message.
reason. Nobody can say any other reason other than that. It just quintessentially goes to show you like there is this like erosion of these IPs, these authentic pieces of authentic, creativity that the rest of the world, you know, all over loved.
Mhm.
Just because it wasn't for me doesn't mean that the rest of the world is wrong and that they loved Harry Potter world, they love Wizarding World. I mean, there's a fucking whole street dedicated to it in Universal Studios. Like, it's a
Mhm.
big deal. People love that shit, and then you're gonna shit on them after they went after Rowling for her fucking anti-trans bullshit, which gotta say I'm still backing Rowling on that one.
Yeah.
Like, what is a woman on that one?
Yeah.
Sorry, JK all the
Yeah.
way. And then so they split the fandom there, where there's gonna be those that are like, oh, we're gonna boycott this because Rowling's a fucking anti-trans whatever she was, and then anybody who you might have scooped still that was left over who was like, fuck it, I don't care about it, JK Rowling, I just like Harry Potter. Now you're fucking race swapping to try to virtue signal to the ones that you kind of lost with the JK Rowling, controversy. It's like you just alienated the entire audience in
Mhm.
your inability to fucking read the room, guys. And
Yeah.
you get whatever, it's going to be. I think they said it's somewhere in the neighborhood of like $5 million an episode or something like that.
Jesus.
Like, it's crazy amount of money.
Yeah.
You deserve to lose all that.
Yeah.
I'm just
I
sorry to
hope you
say.
do. I hope you do.
I do too.
You
I
know,
will
I
not
hope
be fucking
I'm
watching
not
that.
watching that shit. They did the same thing with the Three Body Problem, which is a great series of books. Like, they race swapped and gender swapped like every character in the American version of it. And like the thing that really was funny to me about it is like China did they've only done one season of it. They like made their own series of the Three Body Problem in one series. But they only did one season, but they did 30 episodes in one season.
Mm.
And the American version on Netflix is 8 episodes per one season. And the American version spent like fucking 10 times as much on
Of
8
course it did.
episodes as China did on 30. And like I don't know where the extra money went. You know what I mean? Like
It went
the
to the pockets, man. Duh.
the CGI was just as good in the Chinese version as it was in the American version. And like I just don't get it. And like the American version, it's still good. Like it's worth watching, I guess. But like it's not true to the books in any way, and
Mhm.
it's like, I just don't get why you have to do that, and why you have to spend so much fucking money on a show for 8 episodes where, like, clearly it can be done for a whole lot less, and like you said, like, I don't know where the money is going except in people's pockets because it doesn't cost that much to make a fucking show, like, it's clearly possible to do it for a whole lot cheaper, you know what I mean? And,
Mhm.
like, honestly, I thought the Chinese version was better than the American version. The American version was still good, but, like, it lost a lot of dialogue, you know? Like,
Mhm.
you're covering an entire 700 page book in 8 40-minute episodes. It's like, you can't do that, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? And, like, I'm reading The Expanse right now, which is a great series of books, and, like, I've watched the, um the TV show version of it, and the TV show version is really good. It's actually really true to the books. Like, the characters all line up. They didn't, like, gender swap or race swap anybody, and it's like, you can do it and have a successful TV show. And, like, that show was very successful. It did really well. It went from Sci-Fi Network to Amazon because people wanted it so bad that, like, Amazon decided to pick it up when Sci-Fi had to fold on it because they just didn't have the money to produce it anymore, and it's like,
Mhm.
you have all of this great source material that you can work from, and, like,
Yeah,
why
what
change it? Like, just
I
do what the
'cause it's
fucking
not the
writer wrote.
message.
It's not the
No,
message. It's
it's
not
not
the
the message,
message,
man.
you know?
You need diversity and equity
Yeah,
fucking numbers
and,
to be
like,
hit.
the main character in the American series is, like, a woman, and, like, in the book, it's a man, and he's, like, a nanomaterials expert, and it's like, "Oh, well, we have to have a woman in that position because we need more women in
In
STEM. So we
STEM,
have to
of
show that, like,
course.
the smartest person in the world has to be a woman. It can't be a man. That's just ridiculous. We can't have that." You know what I mean?
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I don't know. I shake my head. I really do. And I've seen like people push the other way. It's like, oh well, he's a fictional character, so why does it matter? It's like, okay,
It
he's a fictional
matters.
character, so why does it matter that you change the
Yeah.
race? Like you made that decision
Mhm.
to read the source material and say, yeah, but we want to do this. Okay, if it's fiction, why did you have to do that? So don't fucking try to gaslight me and pussyfoot around the actual agenda that you have here and tell me that I'm the crazy one for pointing out that you had the point to point out the
Mhm.
agenda. Like, fuck you, motherfucker.
And
Don't
they
try to
never
spin this around on me.
and they never race swap in the other direction, like, you can't make Black Panther white,
They
you know what I
tried.
mean?
Did
Like,
you hear that
did they
fucking
really?
yeah, well, there
I
was like a
thought that was, like,
whisper.
they went to a woman or something like I don't remember.
There was a whisper
I don't
that one
watch
of
any of
it
that
was like
shit.
he was like half black or something. Like
Okay.
he was only so he wasn't black enough. Like he was a light skinned individual, and the community like around Black Panther was like, this is so racist. They're trying to like slowly but surely like lighten everything up for this and this reason because they're
Jesus.
systemically or like subconsciously racist. And
Yeah.
it was another it's just like this. I was just like, what the fuck is that? You guys have nothing better to there was something else. There was like a meme that came out of this too. It's like I'm really glad. Oh, is the Japanese parliament, I think it was, Japanese or yeah, one of them was talking about how they have these like these privilege cards. And so like this Asian LGBTQI speaker who wasn't trans was like, well, my privilege card is orange compared to this one who's red because she has or if they have
Privilege.
trans in their card. Like it's like basically whose privilege card is worse than the other privilege card so that they can
Yeah.
have the right to speak. And it's like really glad they were solving all the world's problems right here by
Yeah.
arguing over each other's privilege cards for
Yeah.
the entirety of that fucking parliament meeting. It's like it's exactly how I feel about Hollywood. It's like, can we just get back to making cool shit?
Yeah.
I don't know. Have you seen did you see Hail Mary by chance yet?
Not yet. I've read the book. I really like the book. I wanna watch the movie, but I think I'm gonna wait for it to come out on my
Yeah,
TV at home. I don't really like going to the movie theaters anymore. The last time I went to the movie theaters, I went and watched, 1916 or whatever year it
17,
was.
yeah, with the
1917.
continuous charm. Yep, yep,
Yeah,
yep.
yeah, like, that was a great movie, and, like, I was so off put by the theater, like, the thing that bothered me right away was it was cold in there, and, like, I have bad circulation in my arms, so, like,
Yeah.
I wasn't wearing a sweatshirt or anything, it was in the summertime, so I'm fucking cold right off the bat. I'm like, "This sucks," like, the
Yeah.
seat's fucking uncomfortable, it's sticky floors, you know what I mean? And
Mhm,
then, like, they
mhm.
start the movie up, and this is like a noir film where it's, like, very visually stunning, and like, you know how in a movie theater, off to the right or left of the screen, they have the exit, like the
Hmm.
emergency exit? They had the light on in the emergency exit. I'm like,
Of
"What the
course.
fuck? Did they, like, leave the light on by accident?" So I,
Yeah,
like,
some high
go
school kid.
so,
Yeah.
like, I go down there and look for a light switch, and they don't even have a light switch. You're not allowed to turn the light off if you want to. So, like, you're watching this, like, beautifully, like, stunning noir film with a fucking light off to the
Yeah.
side, and
They
I,
spent
like
millions of dollars editing.
yeah, and all of a sudden, you're like your attention is drawn to the freaking exit because people can't find the exit. You know, they're so stupid that if there's a fire in the movie theater, which never fucking happens, they're not gonna be smart enough to find the exit. It's like,
Yeah.
come on, people. Like this is like insurance bullshit, you know? And I related it to like if I was to watch that movie in my house, it would be like if I just left the laundry room light on and the door open in my
Yeah.
house while I'm watching this movie in the dark. And it's like it's just so distracting and so ridiculous. So at that point, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to the theater anymore. I have a nice, comfortable couch. I have a big screen TV. I have a Bose sound system. I don't need to go to the theater anymore. So, like, I
Well,
do want to watch Project Hail Mary because I thought it was a great book. Um,
I started reading it. The wife and I actually both
mhm,
started reading it afterwards because of how much we enjoyed it, and we've had it recommended a couple times, like read the
yeah.
book. And so I started it. We watched it. And I was like, ooh, I wonder how faithful it's going to be. I will say, also on the theater aspect, there are plenty of ways of piracy. The open waters of
Mhm,
piracy are back with full force.
sure.
With all these subscriptions and all these fucking, pay for ads or pay not to have ad bullshit on their subscription models. All of that has gotten to the point where we are back in like that heyday of like Napster, where there are so
Yeah.
many. And so I will not say that that is what the wife and I engaged in because that is illegal activity. But I will say that I could not agree more that I can't imagine enjoying Project Hail Mary as much as I will and would have had it been in my own home as I didn't in theaters.
Yeah.
I don't I'll say as much double speak and convoluted
Sure.
sentences mashed together as I can,
Yep.
but it was really good. It was really good. For the same reason that you're describing, I got a good TV, I got a good sound system, and if we were to watch Project Hail Mary, it would be at home in the
Mhm,
comfort of our own home without any distracting phones and exit signs for sure.
yeah.
It is worth it. There's plenty of good copies out there. I think it's coming out pretty soon, like to streaming,
Sure.
like officially that you can pay for. So that means there's a good copy out there that's been ripped and already put out on
Yeah.
online. So
Andy Weir's a great writer. You know,
he absolutely is. Yeah,
he's a great writer. Like, you know what's interesting about his big book? What was that one called? The Mars one.
Martian.
The Martian. He actually wrote that book on Substack and he serialized it. So he would release a chapter at a time and
Hmm.
he had people on his Substack that were like scientists and people who were, you know, smart about Mars and shit like that. So he'd release a chapter and he'd go, everybody read it, give me your feedback, tell me what I got wrong, tell me what I got right, and then I can change it. And so he
Yeah,
serialized the entire book on Substack before he actually like put it all together and sold it. I thought that was really
that is
interesting.
brilliant. I
Yeah.
love that. That's why he's such a good sci-fi
Yep.
writer. I did not know that, but as you say that, I'm like, oh, that checks out. That's why. Because in Project Hail Mary, yeah, it's pretty thick and
It's
pretty
good.
dense and accurate on how he's doing things,
Yep.
and it's just seamless to the story and the
Yep.
character development. It is really good, and I did wonder because there's like a little interview I saw on a YouTube or something that he was explaining like, oh, this is kind of like my writing process. I had no idea he had that amount of feedback for some of the more let's say nitty gritty of the story. So that's actually fucking brilliant. I love that.
Yeah.
And
I thought
yet
it was
another
good.
example of hope for like things like Substack and YouTube and the podcast that we currently have. As creatives, they're all tools, man. We could just use them for what they're intended to be used for, which
Yep.
is maximizing our creative potential. I
Yep.
love that.
Yeah,
It's fucking awesome.
I thought it was a brilliant way to like put out a very difficult book to write because
Yeah.
you have to know a lot about a lot to write a book like The Martian. Like there is a lot of science going on in there and like I remember hearing that the only thing like in the movie that kind of wasn't accurate, like the whole Iron Man suit thing is kind of crazy, but like
Yeah.
you know,
They
maybe.
depressurize
You
your
know what I
suit.
mean? But I guess like the only thing that they really got wrong in the movie was the wind. I guess there's not like windstorms like that on Mars. I guess their
On Mars.
atmosphere doesn't really allow for stuff like that, so which I thought was interesting. But I can't
I,
wait to
I
watch
I
the
need to.
movie because I'm glad they made that movie because it was a really good book. Like I really enjoyed it. Um, you know,
I'm
I listened to the book. I listened to all my books on Audible,
mhm.
and the narrator was really good. I think he had Ray Porter do it, and Ray Porter's like one of the best. Like they're my two favorites are Ray Porter and RC Bray. I think they're both fucking awesome. It might have been RC Bray. I can't remember. It was one of the two, but I mean, just crushed it. You know, like a
I've had
really
it
good
recommended
book,
so many
a
times. Yeah.
really interesting like theory where like they've the whole theory about like these little alien entities that are like sucking solar energy, like the whole idea of the book was
Premise of it. Yeah.
really fucking good. So I'm glad you're listening to the book or reading the book because it's definitely worth it. Like I
Yeah.
hope that the movie is true to the book because man, it was like I said, I really enjoyed it. And Andy Weir is one of these writers who he doesn't put out a ton of books. Like
Hmm.
he's
Hmm.
only written like 3 or 4 books. Like there's very little like some of these writers that I listen to their books, like they put out a ton of books. They write really fast. They put
Hmm.
stuff out really quick. And like I appreciate that Andy Weir is like, you know what? I've got the money, I've got the time. I'm gonna put like a lot of time into thinking about
Yeah.
a book instead of just like throwing stuff out there every other year, or
Completely
every
agree.
6 months, and he's lucky that like it's hard for writers today to get famous off of one book or two books. So he
Mhm.
he did well in like getting The Martian out early before like audiobooks got so crazy, and
Yeah.
he's been able to like build a name for himself. So no matter how long it takes him to write his next book, people are going to read it no matter what. And like
I
I
do.
think
Yeah. I certainly will for
yeah,
sure. Yeah.
like, no matter what he puts out, I'm going to read it because I know he's, like, put a lot of thought into it. There's no like, one of the things that bothers me about a lot of the sci-fi that I read is, like, I can easily poke holes in it. I'm not a
Hmm.
scientist, like, I know a lot about astrophysics because I read a lot of sci-fi, and, like, I know a lot about, like, potential alien technologies and stuff like that because of the amount of stuff I read. And like if me with no scientific background, if I can poke holes into your story,
Exactly. Yeah.
I, I hate that. I like it when people like I've been writing a sci-fi book for a long time, and one of the things that I like to do is like really look at a chapter. I'll finish like a chapter and I'll go, okay, where are the holes that I could poke into this and how do I stop those from happening? And like I put a lot of thought into not making the book stupid, not
Hmm.
making it to where like some normal Joe that's going to read it is going to go, well, that doesn't make sense. He could have just done A, B, or C. Like I want to
Hmm.
think that out and go, okay, why would he do things this way? Why wouldn't he do things that way? Like what are, the holes that could be potentially poked in this and like try to stay away from those completely, and I want to
Yeah.
make everything plausible to go like, oh, okay, if I was in that situation, I probably would have done the same thing.
Hmm. Yeah. I totally agree. And that again, it's what I've been probably why I've taken so long on mine as well. It's the same. I'll finish something and I was up to like 500,000 words, and that's basically like 3 books right
Yeah.
there. And I was chopping it down. I was like, well, all of this, all of this, all of this. It was like unnecessary. It's because there was a much faster way to get to the conclusion that I was trying to get to, and I was like,
Uh-huh.
yeah, obviously, if I can find that, and it's easy to do because you're in tunnel vision, but it's
Mhm.
like if I can find that now, a brand new reader is going to pick that up and immediately go there. I'm like, why didn't they use the eagles to go and drop
Sure.
off the ring?
Yeah.
Like it's gonna be like the number one thing that they're gonna find, and it's just I don't know, it's tough to do sometimes, but
Mhm.
it's definitely well worth doing. I agree with you about Andy Weir. Is why I think I enjoy his writing, and why, yeah, whatever his next book, if he has one, I will pick up and will start reading because
Yeah.
he's a fantastic mind when it comes, and fantastic when it comes to, like, I don't know, the humanity, the humility, the love of all of that he has in his characters. I just immediately, yeah, I just appreciate it for the exact same reasons that we're. I think I when let me know what you think of the film
I will. I will.
since I haven't finished the book yet. I'm curious because again, I'm more so just curious what is the same and what is like what was
Yeah.
changed for the film. and like what little things were altered. So far, it's there are little alterations. So far, it's pretty good.
Mhm.
And the little ones make sense in terms of like how it adapts to screen, like how you want to convey certain character, like like um like flaws, character flaws, and character
Mhm.
traits, to make them. You can expand those in the book, so that makes sense for the film. Outside of that, though, it's pretty good. So it's pretty authentic. I'm curious if it's as enjoyable in the same way for film for you, having read it first and then seeing the film,
Yeah.
as it was when you first read it. I'd be very curious about that one.
Have you read The Egg? It's a short story that Andy Weir wrote.
I downloaded all of his back catalog. I haven't
Mhm.
gotten through all of it yet,
The
but I
Egg's
did see
really
that.
good. It's really good. A YouTube channel did like an animated video of it, which was really good too.
Hell yeah,
Like I
hell yeah.
really enjoyed
Okay.
it. I think it's called Quartz Art or something like that. It's a
Oh, Course Art is a
yeah.
fantastic
Yeah, it's a
channel.
great
I
channel.
love
So
them.
they did an animated version of his short story, The Egg, and I think it's a little bit shorter than the story itself, but it gets all of the like key ideas, and you get to visualize it. And like I thought it was really good. So that's something
Fuck
that
yeah.
people can go watch. It's a short, thing, 10, 20
8,
minutes,
10
something
minutes,
like
yeah, they're
yeah,
they're
something
they're
like
good,
that.
yeah.
Like it was really good. I really enjoyed that.
Hell yeah. I mean, it sounds like we're hitting that twilight where we're giving all these
I
recommendations to
know,
everybody
right?
about their
I
both
know.
required readings, required
Yeah,
listening,
yeah,
required
yeah.
watches. Like, do you have one officially for us today, Nick?
Well, I guess I could go with the three body problem. We were
Heck
talking
yeah.
about the three body problem. The three body problem is really good because it's like a modern version of the War of the Worlds. It really takes an alien invasion to the next level. I feel like the guy is really great at thinking outside of the box. Um, I don't want to give away the story too much. But like his idea of like how an advanced alien civilization would, kind of colonize our planet in a slow, no
Mm,
faster than light travel, no nothing like really outside of our realm of science. There is a little bit that is kind of like
on the
beyond
precipice, like on the
our
push.
modern physics. Like he kind of they kind of mess with photons in a way that may or may not be possible. We don't really know. I
Mm-hmm.
think it kind of gets into string theory, which I know neither one of us are a fan of. So like that
Yeah.
kind of gets into there, but like the ideas that he has are unique. The book is very unique. There's 3 of them, and then there's a 4th one that's canon that's written by another guy that's good as well. Um, it's different because it's written by a Chinese guy. I think that the translation is good, but there are some aspects like I really liked the story. I thought the story itself was really good. Like the ideas, the way that this alien civilization has to advance in a short way because they live in a three body system that is unstable, is very unique. There are aspects of the book that I wasn't a fan of. There's parts of it that are a little bit too long and a little bit too drawn out, and it's like, come on, like let's just get to the aliens and stuff like that. So there's aspects of it that are, but the overall story is really good. It's really interesting. I think, like I said, it's a unique take on an alien invasion. There's nothing that kind of you can say, "Oh, well, they did this in Star Wars, or they did this in this or that, or they did it over here." Like it's a very unique take on an alien invasion. So I would recommend that. I think
Okay.
it makes you think, it makes you go, "Wow, like how how would this actually happen? Is this possible? Like what would an advanced civilization actually be like?" And
Hmm.
there's some very smart things that happen in it. Like there's a guy in it that kind of like without giving it away, there's a guy that kind of gets captured by the alien civilization, experimented on, and he is allowed to like give. He's allowed to send information back in certain ways, and there's a lot of deeper meaning into everything that he does. It's well thought out. Like the guy's very smart. He does things in the right way to where like this alien civilization isn't like us. They're not like us in any way. They don't think like us. They can't lie. They don't understand lying. They don't understand like double meanings of things. So he's able to kind of feed us information about them without them kind of understanding what he's doing because they're just not capable of thinking. in the same
Damn,
way that we are. It's a deep
I
book.
love this.
There's a lot to it. It's good. It's really good.
I love this.
I recommend those quite a bit.
All right, Three Body Problem by who?
Shoot, I can't say his name.
Okay,
He's a Chinese writer.
I'll
Um,
just put Chinese writer. It'll
yeah,
pop up.
Zhu Zhang Sheng Song Chang.
Chinese. That was good. Now we're canceled automatically. I love it, Nick. You always bring some of the fucking best recommendations. Anytime that we start hitting the twilight, I always really appreciate your book recommendations. Like Fossil Future, I really enjoyed. I read the synopsis and I have it downloaded.
Mhm.
Again, similar to this like the wish list. I think I told you last time it's like 100 and I think
Yeah.
it was like 160 last time. It's like 180 something right now,
Yeah, yeah.
and I'm trying. I'm trying
Yeah,
to get
yeah.
through. It's like there's just
Fossil
so many
Future
things
was
out there.
good. Like he's a very unique thinker. Um, the cool thing about Alex Epstein is he's a philosopher. He's not a scientist. So he
Yeah.
looks at it through the lens of philosophy rather than like data-driven science. You know
Hmm,
what I
hmm.
mean? And
It's
his
not stuck in the
idea
weeds
on
as much
like
either, too.
human
Yeah.
flourishment is kind of the driving force behind the book. So like, yeah, you'll enjoy it. It's really good. He kind of even gets into like type one, type the Kardashev scale, like
Oh yeah.
type one, type two, type three civilizations, and
Hmm.
he's basically like you can't have a type one civilization on windmills and solar panels. It just
Nope.
can't fucking happen, you know.
That's a
And
fact.
like
That's a fact.
this is kind of an interesting subject to me because I'm not convinced that you can have a type 1 civilization on a planet at all. I think that you
Mm,
have to go out into space and offload a lot of your energy production in order to have a type 1 civilization within a planet because I think like even if we got fusion energy today, let's just say that the government has fusion energy and they release the plans and all of a sudden we can make all of these fusion reactors all over the world. These things are still going to produce heat. You know what I mean?
mm.
Like they
Yeah.
act like oh, it's free energy and climate change is gonna go away, but it's like, no, this is like 100 million degree plasma ball that's being, contained by a magnetic bottle. Like that heat has to go somewhere. It just doesn't
Right.
disappear. You know what I
Right.
mean?
And
So
entropy is a fucking fact of the
yeah,
universe that we
yeah,
have to figure out. And when it's on a
exactly.
rock ball that can only, dissipate so much of that.
So if we start putting fusion reactors or fission reactors all over the planet, you're still going to have heat. It may
Mm.
not like generate as quickly as CO2 driven energy sources because like yeah, CO2 like I'll admit that CO2 like, creates heat within the atmosphere. Like I'm not one of these guys who thinks that like there's no, like climate change
Impact
isn't
of
real. It's a like it does happen. Like how much it happens and how quickly it happens, I think is very much
and
up
how
for
much of a
debate.
problem. Yeah.
You know
Yeah,
what I
for
mean?
sure.
How much of a problem? But there is a fact that like there is going to be heat. There's going to be heat generated by these energy sources. And the more energy that we generate, the more heat that there's going to be. So, like, I think that in order to have a type 1 civilization, you're going to have to offload a lot of that energy production into
Mm.
space in some way,
Okay.
whether you're going to have people living in O'Neill cylinders or we're going to grow food up in, space. You're going to have O'Neill cylinders just full of wheat crops and you're gonna
Yeah.
have cows and shit up there. Like, I don't know, but like, I don't think that we're gonna be capable of building like a type 1 civilization on a planet alone because I think the heat generated
Mm.
is gonna be too much. Like
Yeah. I don't.
it's just gonna be too much.
It also makes logical sense because look what we do with communications and logistics and everything. Anyways, that's we send that up into space anyway. Like
Yeah.
we already solved that problem as the most efficient way to do that
Uh-huh.
to solve those problems was to offload it. So
Yep.
absolutely, it makes the most sense that we would. And also at the same time, it's like why would we not try to move away from a lot of those endothermic reactive energy production sources?
Yeah.
Why would we not, especially for passing that level one and hitting into the like space exploration
Mhm.
and utilizing as much of the star as we possibly could, why would we not keep that off? I mean, it's not like we'd want the star on planet Earth. No, we would keep all the energy where it is and just figure out a better way to get it to us.
Yeah.
That makes the most sense to me for sure. For
Yeah.
sure.
There's a
I love
guy
that.
on YouTube named Isaac Arthur. He does a YouTube channel called Science and Futurism with Isaac Arthur. It's a
Mm,
great channel. It's one of my favorite channels. Like he does just great videos about this type of thing. And he's actually has like a couple of videos where he thinks that you could have like I know like population control is like a big thing and
Yeah.
there's the earth is overpopulated, blah blah blah. But anybody who's flown over the United States or the world in an airplane knows that like we are in very condensed places within the earth. Like there's a lot of empty space out there, especially like I went to Alaska when I was a kid, and like flying from Alaska to San Francisco, there's a whole lot of nothing when
Yeah,
you're flying.
exactly.
There's a
Yeah.
whole lot of nothing, just empty forests with nobody in there. So this guy Isaac Arthur thinks that you could have a trillion people on the planet if you're
Mhm.
producing food up in space, if you're generating a lot of energy up in space, and you're like good at heat sinking. You could have launch loops and orbital rings and elevators that
Oh, yeah,
kind
yeah.
of dump heat up into the atmosphere. You can channel that heat up into the upper atmosphere or into space and kind of use these things at heat sinks that like he thinks that you could have a trillion people on the planet if you offloaded like energy production and food production up into space. And like
Mhm.
I don't want to live on a planet that has a trillion people. I think that would suck. Like but
Yeah.
when you look at the actual surface area used compared to like if you give people an apartment and you build these massive arcologies, you could cram a ton of people into
Yeah,
them.
100%. No, I've seen this argument a couple times now, and I mean, when I was in college, it became like the sort of like the back and forth that I had with a lot of my classmates,
Mhm.
where everybody's like, "Oh, well, we can fit, yeah, 50 billion people if everybody just like, did this and did that." I'm like, "Yeah, but nobody's gonna do. What do you want to do that?" And
No.
they all were like, "Oh, of course not." But if most everyone else is like, yeah. The way you're thinking is how every person. That's why fucking communism doesn't work,
Mhm.
because we all fucking like ourselves and we like our fucking space. We like our TVs, our phones, and our cars. So you're saying if you lived like a slave, we would all be able to fit more slaves on planet Earth. It's like
Sure.
that's the dumbest fucking thing. Now, I just actually subscribed to Isaac Arthur over there on
It's a
YouTube, so I'm gonna
great
I'm gonna
channel.
start checking it.
You're gonna be up all night watching
Oh,
this
fuck
channel
yeah, fuck
because
yeah.
there's so much like he's the man. So he's actually very interesting too because he's a physicist, but he was also in the military. So he has like I think he's a right winger too. He doesn't really say like what kind of
Mm.
politics he has, but he feels like he's kind of a right winger. So it brings a different like feel to the channel because it's not the same like progressive idea that everything just gets better on a straight line or
Mhm,
there's
mhm,
too
mhm.
many people. Like he looks at things from like an objective lens and like a lot of his stuff is like space warfare, which is
Mm.
super interesting. Like how would a space war actually go? Like how would you have interplanetary warfare and like one of the required readings that I had on the show a while back was this book called Protector by Larry Niven. And
Mhm.
within it, they have like this space warfare battle going on, and the battle takes years and years and years because you're so far apart and you're so far away from each other that like one move takes years to even know if you like landed a hit on the opposing spacecraft. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And he gets into
like
this shit
Battleship.
really deep. Like he gets into like how would you colonize the one of the things that he does that's really interesting is he says like you could he doesn't believe in faster than light travel. That's like the only thing that is kind of strange about his channel is like he doesn't believe in fast, but it makes
He
it
doesn't entertain
interesting
any of it.
because he entertains it a lot of times. Like he'll make videos about it, but for the most
Mhm.
part, like him personally, he believes that faster than light travel is not possible. Like he still does videos on wormholes and folding space and
Mhm. Mhm.
warp drives and stuff like that. But for the most part, he believes that there is no way to do faster than light travel, but he'll still do like, hey, look, colonizing the galaxy at 1% of light speed, how long would that take? How would you do
Mhm.
it? You
Mhm.
would start with this generation ship that would build other versions of itself within the, journey to from star to star. And so you start with one generation ship, you get to a star, you build another version, two go out, then four
Mhm.
go out, then eight, and it just keeps going and going. And he thinks you could colonize an entire galaxy in a million years at
That's a
1% of
lofty
light
goal.
speed, you know?
Mhm.
And
Mm.
I
I
like
gotta look
that
at. I gotta
aspect
look
of
at.
it because it shows like, hey, look, even let's say that like all of these ideas of faster than light travel are just pie in the sky bullshit that we're never
Sure.
going to get to. That does not mean that we can't colonize our galaxy and beyond.
Mhm. Yeah. There's that sliver of hope, if
Yeah.
nothing else, kind of a thing. Yeah, I
Yep.
love that. Hell yeah. No, I just subscribed. I'm gonna check him out. I'm gonna go
Yeah,
down the
you
rabbit
got
hole.
a
I love
lot.
when I
It's
find
a
a new
big
channel
rabbit
like
hole.
that.
Oh, it's so
Fuck
good.
yeah.
It's so
Fuck
good.
yeah,
He
dude.
should have millions of subscribers to his channel. His channel is so fucking good.
Yes, I love finding those. I was actually recently trying to like go through a lot of my lists of like, oh, I'm subscribed to this person. And they haven't like produced anything, or they produce the same bullshit that I'm not actually like I'm not actually following them. I'm not
Uh-huh.
consuming their content. So I was like cleaning basically my subscriptions out.
Yeah.
I had like 300 some subscriptions that
Oh,
I just
dude,
because
I have
basically
to do the
anytime
same thing. My
well, anytime I see a
subscriptions are
video, I'm
out
like,
of
that's a good
control.
video. Who's the fucking channel? Boom, subscribe. Like I
Yeah.
automatically do it at this point. And I need to, yeah. So I was cleaning it out. This is a good one that I can add to it. And
Yeah.
I know I haven't seen any of the videos. So because I subscribe to it, I love that YouTube will now give me like a bunch of a bunch of
Mhm.
his videos, I guess to catch me up or whatever. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, you must like him. So let's give you all of the last year's worth of videos.
Yeah. And I
But
think
yeah,
he's been doing videos for like 10 or 12 years now. So there's like so much shit there. It'll take you a minute. So he has like a speech impediment.
mhm,
So in his earlier videos, for sure, he's kind of hard to understand. But like once you listen to a couple of his videos, you can understand him just fine, you know?
yeah,
Like, but um he kind
that's
of
never a problem
like
for me to get over.
one of his first videos was so interesting. It's like kind of what got him making videos. He kind of just had this theory and he decided to make a video about it. But his theory is called the Dyson dilemma, which essentially gets into like what we were talking about before, the Kardashev scale, where you've got a type 2 civilization essentially from the science that we know is going to create a Dyson sphere. You're going
Yeah,
to
collect
enclose
everything
your
from your sun.
star within solar panels so you can
Some
suck up
version
all
of a
the
Dyson sphere.
energy. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So his thought is like we don't see any Dyson spheres within the
Uh-huh.
universe. And that's problematic because, like, just let's say that for a second that faster than light travel it is possible. And this kind of gets into Project Hail Mary a little bit. So, like, Rocky's civilization is kind of at like 1950s technology, essentially.
Mhm.
They didn't
Yeah.
even know that like time dilation was a
Yeah,
thing,
they didn't
you
a
know?
whole lot of
So,
Einstein theories and every relativity and
exactly.
everything, right?
Let's say that faster than light travel is possible. That doesn't mean that every civilization out there is going to get to that.
Mhm.
Like they
Mhm.
might get stalled out where we're at right now. If it is possible, we're stalled.
Yeah.
At least, science that we are capable of seeing is stalled out into the point where like we're stuck on relativity. So
Mhm.
there's a non-exclusivity point to where like there are going to be civilizations out there that don't figure this shit out if it is possible, and they're going to create a Dyson sphere. And if you're around for long enough, you're not just going to create one Dyson sphere, you're going to create more, and you're going to keep going and going and going, and pretty soon you're going to have a spot within the galaxy that's maybe 1,000 light years, a couple thousand light years across, where you're going to have disappearing stars, and we don't see that anywhere, which is strange.
Mm.
Maybe
Is
it means that faster than light travel is easier than we think, and that if there are civilizations out there, they have faster than light travel, and they're just able to go throughout the universe doing whatever they want, and they're not really changing their star to the point that we're able to see it. But you would think that there would be at least one civilization out there that hasn't figured this shit out and are enclosing stars within Dyson swarms somewhere
no,
out there,
yeah.
and we don't see it.
I've heard this. I've heard this argument a couple times, and I mean, we could continue down this rabbit hole forever
Yeah.
because it's one of those where I don't know what it is about the uncertainty and yet like the factual manner that the conversation can only exist in of like, well, theoretical, like I mean, when string theory first became a thing, it was big into solving a lot,
Mhm.
quote unquote, solving these problems, and yet never did. I love that aspect of, especially when it comes to like the Dyson spheres. Like, well, part of me is wondering like, are we testing just like when people are like this is the Goldilocks zone, that's only where life can exist, that's the only place we're going to look so that we can find, it's like, yeah, but that almost seems if that's the only habitat we're looking in, we're almost guaranteed that 9 out of 10 of the other forms of life that almost guaranteed are existing out there, extremophiles, if you will, we're completely negating them. We're not even looking for them.
Mhm.
That seems stupid to me and silly to me, right?
Mhm.
And then the same thing with the Dyson spheres. Like, if that's the only thing we're looking for, Is that because it doesn't exist and therefore none of these civilizations exist, or is it that that's where our imagination currently takes us,
Yeah.
therefore that's the only thing we're looking for, therefore the blinders are excluding all of the other, forms of technology that are outside of a normal Kardashev scale,
Mhm.
or to your point, yeah, are they just zipping around and we're completely
Mhm.
oblivious to them because they're in a different plane of fucking
Sure.
technological existence? Yeah, there's a lot of ways to take that, and at the same time, it's like just like the Drake's equation. It's like, yeah, but you would still think we would find at least one or two or 10. I mean, you saw that with Oumuamua coming through
Mhm.
like the galaxy, right? It's like, well, now we have the tools that we're these interstellar objects are probably more frequent and more
Mhm.
they occur more often than we currently understood or previously thought. We just didn't have the tools to see them and catch them and find them, right?
Mhm.
Now that we have those tools, now we're seeing a lot more of them. It's like, oh shit. It's because, yeah, it's not because there's an influx of them. It's because there's an influx of our ability to see them,
Yeah.
So maybe that's also one of those hurdles, that we're at. And at the same time, just like, with Project Hail Mary, with like Rocky's civilization, there are multiple ways, back to the little organics that are, feeding off of the sun, they spread out like a little bacterial or viral
Yeah.
infection, it's like there's a lot of ebb and flow to these things. And when one thing's, kind of like out of whack, or maybe with Rocky's civilization perfectly in line,
Mhm.
yeah, you can spread to the fucking moon that is, a hop, skip, and a jump versus like maybe the huge distances that our current solar system that we exist in is, maybe they were just able to just, migrate, similar to how I was reading one thing on boats, like the evolution of boats not too long ago, and like back to Jared Diamond's, Guns, Germs, and
Yeah.
Steel. I
Yeah.
was I was thinking a lot of those influences, and it's like, yeah, you have this location, you have this demographic, like it almost it's almost guaranteed that it's pushing in the direction that you're going to need, and then harness the wind, and then a boat, and then flotation. It's like
Mhm.
it's almost guaranteed that that's where it's going to push. But the opposite is just as true if the conditions are so hostile against all of those things that you're not going to, develop, buoyancy and figure out,
Sure.
relativity and all those things. And the amount of planets, almost like my gut feels like the amount of planets and the amount of areas in the universe that are probably in that same realm where it's just so fucking crazy hostile out there that they're just lucky to get by and, get multicellular life together. That almost seems more likely that's the case. And then for those that are figuring it out, similar to us, yeah, now we have this fucking giant hurdle that we've got multicellular, life. We have decent enough conditions. We have a stable solar system and an ability to produce energy, even if it's what is it, 0.8 or 0.75 or whatever that we're currently on the Kardashev scale.
Something like that.
It's like that's still pretty fucking impressive because we
Yep.
can get to the moon and the Mars and
We're visible.
yeah,
If
yeah.
there are people out there like us that have been looking for people for the past 1,000 years or something like that, we're visible.
Yeah.
Like we've
Yeah.
made one of the things that like I know scientists are looking for within like the James Webb Telescope and stuff like that is CFCs, which is like
Mhm.
air conditioner, shit like that. And like
Shit that never
CFCs,
goes away.
they never go away. And if somebody's looking at our planet with the right light spectrums and within the right telescopes, you're going to see CFCs. And the only fucking thing that could ever produce CFCs is a person,
Mhm, mhm.
you know?
Which I can't wait. I mean, have you? I think we talked about this last time. And I know we're getting twilight, and my buddy, we got to start this barbecue here
Sure,
shortly.
sure. We can end
So
whenever you want.
I never want to end with you,
I know,
man. I
right?
always
We
want to
can
keep
go
talking.
forever.
Now
We can go forever.
you're just getting me riled up. As soon as you
Open the
brought in
rabbit hole.
astrophysics and yeah, and like Kardashev scales, I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, okay,
This is
I
my
can.
shit. I love this type of stuff. Like
We
this
can
is my
last five
thing.
more minutes.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah,
keep
yeah.
going. Let's keep going. But no, like fuck. Where was I? Where was I going with it? Shit. Rabbit holes. Damn it. Now I had the thought and it's gone.
I'll give the listeners a little bit of a spoiler on the book that I'm writing. There's a civilization at the end of time that figures out time travel when they're at the end of the universe essentially. And what they did is they never had faster than light travel within building their civilization. And they built I think like Arthur made a video about this, and I kind of co-opted it for my book. A lot of the ideas I use for my book come from him
Oh yeah.
because he's so good, and like I'm able to kind of co-opt some of his ideas and throw them into the book. But anyways, they figured out metamaterials, but they never figured out faster than light travel until they were at the end, like death of the universe. So they built a sphere around a supermassive black hole that at the distance that they built it within like the Milky Way supermassive black hole, they've got 1 g around the sphere that has like a trillion um times the surface area of Earth, which I thought was interesting.
Hmm. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's
I
fun.
like this. I
That's
love.
fun.
When do we get this date that I can read this
Not
manuscript?
anytime soon.
Ah, damn it. Yeah.
I'm not even close. I'm writing the entire book with one finger on my iPad. So it
That's
takes
fair.
me forever. I'm a slow writer. I don't write every day. Like I take a lot of time in between the times that I do
Same.
write. So I'm not anywhere close. It's
Same.
nowhere
Same.
close, but
All right.
it's
I'll
going to be
I'll
fun.
swap.
I can
I'll,
promise that.
Hell yeah. I mean, if just knowing you as long as I've known you now is an indication of how the book is going to be, fucking strap me in, sign me up, man. I'm
Yeah.
gonna trade manuscripts with you.
We've got time travel, we've got the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis, we've got, aliens from other universes that have figured out how to upload into a conscious web that kind of propagates throughout the universe. Uh, Punk rock is a very big aspect of the book.
Hell yeah.
Every my book has a soundtrack, so like every chapter is the name of a song that kind of has like a theme within the chapter. So you can like
Ah,
go on to
yes.
YouTube and like listen to the playlist that like kind of goes throughout. So like,
You
um,
co-opted my idea with that
oh,
in a way.
really?
Then I think,
Cool,
yeah, I think
cool.
I think our consciousnesses are
Yeah.
sharing the same like wavelength with a lot of that because
Have I
I
told you my theory on consciousness before?
that we're antennas and
Yeah.
it's the stream that we're tapping
Yeah.
into. I think we share that
Yeah, I
same
think
like
so
opinion
too.
in a
And
way. Yeah.
and so like just for people who haven't heard this, like I think this could kind of explain like telepathy or
Hmm.
like the other day I was taking a shit and I was thinking about my buddy.
As all great ideas come to
Yeah,
you.
yeah, I was thinking my buddy had called me a couple days before and he was telling me that his father-in-law has cancer and I was kind of telling him about like these alternative cancer treatments where you use like ivermectin and fenbenzidol and shit like that. So I'm taking a shit and I'm thinking like, man, I wonder if my buddy told his father-in-law about these treatments and if they've looked into it because I sent him a bunch of resources and I was like, I should call him and like, see how it's going. And then 2 minutes later, he calls me.
He calls.
You know
Yep.
what I
Yep.
mean?
Yep.
Like before I even get off the toilet, he's calling me and I'm like, man, dude, that was weird. Like I was just thinking about calling you. And I think that like if we are an antenna for consciousness and exist without into us, somewhere else, like I think that it's possible that the closer you are to a person, you are entangled. Like you've got spooky
Yeah.
action at a distance, entanglement to where like you're the same, you come from the same well. We're just a tiny portion of that consciousness. And the closer you are to a person, the tighter that entanglement, the closer, you are. I'm a little drunk right now, so I'm not
I no,
I'm a
I
lightweight. I'm a
100%,
lightweight, but you kind of get where I'm going with this. And that could
100%,
kind
dude.
of explain like why you know when somebody close to you died, or when somebody's about to call you because you are actually coming from the same place. And the closer you are, the tighter you are entangled. And yeah, that's
Yeah,
kind of my thing.
absolutely.
That's my thing.
Absolutely. I subscribe 100,000%. I also like adding the sprinkle of chaos in there in that once you leave the pool, like you're born,
Hmm.
you have like the pool of consciousness that sort of like distills out from the general pool.
Hmm.
Yeah, you're always connected, but you also have these added like variables of the environment that little piece of distillation is
Yep.
existing in. So similar to like whiskey, where
Yep.
it's getting distilled down in a specific barrel, it is still whiskey and it came from the same like plain grain whiskey that went into the barrel, but your barrel is flavored just a little bit
Yep.
differently, and so that when you come back in a different way, now you're making cocktails and you're
Yep.
making different concoctions, and like you said, you're entangled in a new unique way that you can like still extract the essence that was that original consciousness, that original whiskey.
In the book, I relate it to a mycelial web. So like mycelium is like
Yeah,
the web underneath the ground that connects all these
all the
funguses.
trees.
Like
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
see a mushroom cap, but that's not the plant itself. That's just like a little cap. So like
That's like a little
if
finger
we've got a
coming out.
mycelial web of consciousness that propagates throughout the universe or the multiverse, if we've got a multiverse, the little caps are just so I relate it to like in my book, there's a multiverse. It's not the string theory multiverse where every time you make a decision, there's a different universe.
Yeah, the fractal multiverse.
I'm using black hole cosmology to where like every black hole has a white hole on the other side of it that creates a
Mhm.
universe. And within a multiverse, there's going to be so many universes that there are going to be almost exact copies of ours just based on the,
The
you
idea of
know, the
infinity.
idea of infinity. Exactly. So you're going to be connected to people through dreams. You're going to be connected. So I have it to where like you've got this mycelial web of consciousness that propagates throughout the multiverse, and every cap is a different universe, and every spore is a different human mind or person or whatever, alien is
Yeah.
tapping into that conscious web essentially.
Yeah, I love it. I fucking love it. Like I said, I'll trade you manuscripts, man. Sign me
Yeah.
up, buckle me
Yep.
up.
I'm
I'm in
not,
it.
like I said, I'm not anywhere close. Like I don't even have near as I'm not keeping track of the words. I'm just like going and kind of
Yeah,
going at
I
it
mean the
slow. And
little program I have is.
sometimes I only write once a month. So it's
I'm with you.
like it's taking a while, and I don't care. I started thinking about this book fucking 10 years ago, you know,
Yeah.
and I was kind of down on myself for not getting into it, but now it's so much different than when I started, and it's so
Hmm.
much better, and it's so much like more well thought out that like I'm glad that I didn't write it right away. And
100%.
I'm not coming up with big ideas anymore. I think I'm kind of through the big idea stage, and I kind of have like small ideas that
Mhm.
I have like 40, 50 pages of notes. I don't even know how long my notes are. You know what I mean?
So,
And like
yeah,
every once in a while I'll go through my notes and be like, "Oh yeah, I forgot about that." But every
yeah.
time I have like a small idea now, I put it into the notes.
One thing that helped me as I was getting all of my shit more organized was that it was an app, and you have an iPad, so it'll work on all the Apple devices. Is Scriver,
Hmm. I know what you're talking
SCIRV.
about. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And for like notes, especially, like I have separate folders that are just notes and notes and notes
Yep.
and notes, and then I extract from those to put in different chapters. Then I'll like, it was helpful in terms of like how I was going to organize things and put it, like how I was gonna touch this to this,
Mhm.
I connect the two together. Because previously, yeah, it was just like notebooks upon notebooks
Mhm.
upon random Word documents. So and I was, I would write down like this idea is should somewhere in this genre or this chapter, and then and then it would get lost, and then it
Sure.
would never end up connecting. And so putting them all where I would like go through them and then stick them in this folder that has to do with just that chapter or just that idea,
Mhm.
it helped me a lot with character development and like the
See,
progression of the
I'm
story.
pretty good with characters. I'm pretty good with like dialogue and action. This person does this, he goes there to do that. I'm not great with narration.
Okay.
Narration's hard for me. I'm
Yeah.
not great with like analogies or examples that kind of dip into history or something like that.
Yeah.
Like I'm
Well, then
I'm
fucking
listening to
break the narrative.
I'm like listening to the Expanse right now. And I'm like, God, this guy's so good. These got two guys wrote it. I'm like, God, these guys are so good at like narration. They're so
Uh,
good at like relating things to different topics, and I'm just not good at that. But I think it's going to be good anyways. Like it's just
I
I
trust
have
that
to
it
do
will.
it my way. You know,
Exactly. That's what I'm
I will
saying.
give you the title to the book. It's called Quantum Voodoo.
Quantum voodoo. Fuck
Yeah.
yeah.
I
Hell
took
yeah, dude.
quantum action at spooky
Yeah.
action at a
Spooky action at a
distance,
distance.
and
Yeah.
I related that to voodoo, and I came up
Quantum
with
entanglement. I like that.
quantum
I like that
voodoo.
a lot. I like that a lot, Nick. It again. We could talk
We go
forever. Every
forever.
time,
You
every
got shit
time
to
we go,
do.
keep going. This is why we schedule so many
Yep.
in the near future,
Yep.
because it's
We
always a
didn't even
blast,
get
and
to
I
the
always love.
AI. I got us off the AI, and we'll have to do AI next time.
All right, let's put it at the top of the notes of the note board here of topic discussions.
Yeah,
AI is first and
absolutely.
foremost. All
I'm gonna
right,
chug
man.
my
It's
drink.
always a pleasure. It's obviously bad luck to cheers on empty glass. I have plenty still
Oh, well,
here.
I just
And
screwed it.
I was gonna say, Nick just cheers me
Yeah.
virtually, and we're
Yep.
cheersing the casuals out there and reminding everybody, just like always, not to kill the messenger
Yep.
on all these
I see the sign
conversations.
right there. Don't kill the messenger.
Yeah, there we go, man.
All right. We'll do this again, and I don't remember when the next one is, but I have it on my calendar. So
Yeah, I have it on the reminders on my calendar.
awesome.
All
All right.
right, man.
Been a
Take care.
pleasure.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too.
I'll talk to you soon, man.
See ya.